Welcome, welcome, welcome to my Living Library segment. I am going to be talking to you today about going for your dreams. Again, going for your dreams. And I'm just setting my timer here just to make sure I don't talk your ear off in this segment. But I want to start back to when I was a little bit younger than my 5th and 6th grade years. And I want to go back to 1st through 4th grade. I know I'm taking it all the way back. But I went to a school, once again, in a predominantly upper class neighborhood, predominantly white, predominantly Jewish, Caucasian, whatever you want to call it. And I was, of course, living across the tracks. Again, I grew up in West Perrine, also now known as the village of Palmetto Bay. The name West Perrine got such a bad reputation for drugs, crime, and illegal activity that our town, along with some other towns, were actually renamed. It was that bad. And so my school was across the tracks in East Perrine. So when someone says I'm from Perrine, you have to say, what part of Perrine? Were you in West Perrine or were you in East Perrine? So my elementary school that I attended was a magnet school as well. It was called Perrine Elementary School. And my gifts and talents really began to take off there. I do come from an arts family, a very talented and gifted family. My father was an artist, well known for his fashion, well known for his ability in sports and basketball. And many people in my family are very gifted in the arts. My brother dances professionally. Another brother, he's in the publishing industry doing graphic design, animation, those kinds of things. So we are an arts family. We come from a very gifted and talented family in that regard and respect. And so 1st through 4th grade, my gifts really began to start taking off. My teacher takes notice of my gifts and proceeds to test me. And this is where my journey began as far as the magnet arts programs in schools. And I will never forget this teacher because she was phenomenal. She was fabulous. She was awesome. And again, she didn't look like me. Her name was Lori Russell. And I don't know where she is today in the world. She may, not be here anymore. I hope that she is here somewhere. But she was a phenomenal teacher who was willing to test me, was willing to audition me, was willing to get me into the arts program and get me started on developing and honing my gifts and skills. One thing that we don't do in today's society in terms of teachers and student relationships is because of our society being so litigious, everybody has a lawsuit for everything. We don't allow teachers to really invest the time in their students that they really could in some respects because of legal issues and legal aspects. And of course, the character of the teaching profession really has been brought into question in the last, I would say, 15 to 20 years. And so I understand that. But back in the day, okay, when your teacher noticed that you were talented and gifted and skilled, my teacher, Lori Russell, actually asked permission if she could pick me up from my house in the hood and actually invest her time in me outside of school, which was incredible. This woman would take me to her house. She would allow me to spend the night at her house. She would feed me. And my work would be entered in these art shows. I remember one of my first experiences with an art show was when my work, even at a young age, was featured in the Bacardi Art Gallery in downtown Miami. Well, I got an opportunity because my teacher decided to take me in, allow me to spend the night. She took me to the art gallery opening. And so you're talking about my eyes just open to another world, open to possibility. Having my artwork in a gallery when I was in elementary school, having my artwork displayed in banks when I was in elementary school. And so it was a huge deal for me. It was a great experience. She lived in a very affluent place herself, and her husband was an architect. Let me tell you, I remember spending the night at her house, and us coming back from the gallery opening. And I remember her husband was at his drawing table, which I didn't know what it was at the time. But he was at his drawing table, and he had the little light over his drawing area. And I came up next to him, and I began to look at what he was doing. And as I saw what he was doing, he began to explain to me what it was he was doing, and he told me he was an architect. And from that moment, I'm telling you, I went home and I told my mom, I want to be an architect. It just birthed something in me for drawing, for planning, for design. And literally from that moment, I really had in my mind that I was going to be an architect when I grew up. And so I kind of kept that, on the back burner of my mind, in my heart. I make it all the way to college, again, having several teachers that helped my dream along and fostered my dream, but also having some teachers who weren't as helpful. And so I get to college. I get to Florida State University. And shame on Florida State University for this, because they allowed me to accept an offer to go to their school, understanding that I planned to major in architecture. Now, isn't that something? Because Florida State University does not have a school of architecture. It doesn't have an architecture program. Yet, they said, hey, come on, we're so glad you're coming over here to join us. Not one time did they tell me we don't have a school of architecture. So I get to Florida State, find out my freshman year of college that they do not have a school of architecture. Again, do your own research. So I could have gone to Florida A&M University. I had already been accepted there, but I chose to stay at Florida State, and I did take a couple of semesters at Florida A&M University. Got into the pre-architecture program, so to speak, and realized I did not want to do architecture. Not because I didn't like the skill, but because I knew that I was a people person, and all of those weeks away, whiling away at a board by myself individually was just not a part of my personality. So I said, well, at this point, I better pray and seek God, because at this time, I was deciding my major and all of those things. I was saved. I had accepted the Lord by this point. And so God led me in the direction of art education. And so that is how I came to choose the major, art education. And once I got into it, I loved it. I excelled at it. I had quite a few experiences with some of my professors. A lot of them atheists. We'll talk about that at another time. And just the testimonies that came out of having atheist professors and being a Christian on a college campus. But I said all that to say is that I followed my dream. I followed as far as I could until I got and gained the experience to recognize what it was I actually wanted to do. And as I began to do that, I excelled in that field. I was able to make the dean's list several times while I was in my major. I did have several obstacles in terms of my internship for education, but I didn't let those things deter me either. And today I have my degree in art education, and I enjoy teaching. I enjoy teaching not just art, but all subjects. I have a passion for teaching people. I have a passion for helping people to understand hard truths, for helping people to see the light bulb and have the light bulb come on. So I just want to encourage you once again 2, follow your dreams. Follow your dreams as far as they will go, and you never know where your dream might actually take you. You never know how God wants to hone and define your dream. And sometimes, I learned this from another educator, sometimes we can find out what we do want to do by finding out exactly what we don't want to do. And I said all that to say, I did marry an architect. How cool is that? And so there was an architect in me. He was just on the other side. And I still get a chance to enjoy that part of art, enjoy that part of design and creativity through my husband, through his passion, through what God has called him to do in the field of architecture. He's an amazing designer, incredible man of God. And so, hey, I've got the best of both worlds. I'm an art educator, married to an architect, and I just appreciate God. God kind of has a sense of humor. Sometimes he'll show you something and you'll think, hey, it's all in me. But as we grow up and as we matriculate and mature and understand ourselves better, we realize that God really does give us a dream, and that he also hones the things that he has called us to. So I just want to encourage you, follow your dream, follow those God-given things that he's placed on the inside of you, and allow God to reposition you, and allow God to greater define the thing that he has placed on the inside of you. Thank you for listening. This has been another Living Library. God bless.